Hello and welcome back to Premier League Primetime for episode 22. To the three of you, Cyrus, Jose, and Andre, how are all three of you doing?
Excellent, Davis, and yourself?
I'm doing good. Speaking of Cyrus, big up this lad. Congrats to him on his way. In the words of Fabrizio Romano, here we go to American University. Big up to you, my bro. Congrats.
Thank you, Davis.
Good shit, my guy. Anyways, let's jump right in to what was a crazy match day 24. Starting off in Leicester, where Leicester City hosted a wounded Liverpool. And unsurprisingly, Leicester won by 3-1. Goals courtesy of James Maddison, Jamie Vardy returning to the side for the first time, which feels like a long time. And Harvey Barnes scoring yet another goal. And Mo Salah scoring for Liverpool. Jose, what did you make of this game?
It didn't go according to plan for me. I thought that, Leicester, and I knew Leicester had a really good chance to beat Liverpool in this game, but I thought they might bottle it again, like they usually do. But I think that they did. I got to give them credit. They played very well in the final 15 minutes, especially. It was it was 1-0 going into the 77th minute, and then it became 3-1 at full time. So got to give them full credit for that. And I think that I have to say Mohamed Salah is really carrying Liverpool's offense right now. There's not really much attacking that they offer without him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mohamed Salah is more so than scoring for Liverpool in recent games. And speaking of what you said about, until the 77th minute, that Liverpool scored again, or that Leicester scored again. Alisson, last year was renowned as the best goalkeeper in the world. And in the past 2 weeks, he's looks like one of the worst. Is this something that Liverpool fans should be fearful of?
I think that they just need to give him a little break. I mean, he's been pretty much perfect for what is it, like two or 3 years now for Liverpool. So I think that they really don't need to be too worried about it. I mean, he just had a really good game in the Champions League midweek against they played Leipzig. He had a good game there. So I mean, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think it's just a bad stretch for him, but he'll recover.
And even then, in that Champions League game against Leipzig, it had to be 2 defensive errors for Liverpool to score.
Yeah.
Anyways, into the next game, Sirius, over to you. Crystal Palace hosted Burnley, and Burnley pulled out a result I don't think any of us expected. I could be wrong in the predictions, but I don't recall any of us predicting that Burnley would pull a smash and grab as they did. They won by 3-0. Goals coming courtesy of Johan Berg Gudmundsson, Jay Rodriguez, and Matt Lowton, the right back. Sirius, what did you make of this Burnley performance?
Yeah, it was a good Burnley performance. Don't want to take too much credit away from that. I think Crystal Palace's defense was super poor this game. If you guys watched, I don't know if you did, but Scott Dann and also Patrick.
Serious?
Oh boy, he pulled a Dave Eye in the middle of the podcast.
Oh,
what's up with this, man?
It wasn't me for once. And imagine if it happens to me right now. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, can I add? I think to call that a Burnley smash and grab is harsh, because if you look at some of those goals, I think that volley, I mean, they created some good plays. I think Palace has just been shambolic. I think Burnley knew that.
Yeah, I also recall someone on this podcast predicting a Burnley win.
All right, well then fair play. I was wrong, but yeah, Sirius Moreland summed it up there very well. It was a much needed performance much needed win for Burnley.
I think it has to be said, even with the 3-0 scoreline, Nick Pope still got a man of the match. So I mean,
yeah, just it says all you need to know about Burnley. Into next game. And for the past week or so, Andre has been calling me every name under the sun. That Jose Mourinho, a lot of times I just say Mourinho parks the bus when they lose. No, there's no way in hell you can tell me
You're doing a
Jose didn't
monologue
park the
again.
bus.
You're doing a monologue again. This is what I was getting on you for. Like, it's not something that you have to dissect every time. I wasn't getting on you for this. I was getting on you for the monologue, which you're doing again. But go on. Go on.
I wasn't introducing any monologue. All I was saying is that for the times that you said, oh, Jose doesn't park the bus, they were absolutely dominated. Manchester City, and I really don't think any of this was a surprise to anyone. Man City ran out 3-0 winners. Rodri with the dispatching a penalty because nobody on Manchester City can take a penalty. And again, Ilkay Gundogan, another 2 goals. They freaking hell screwed me over in fantasy today because I thought he would be fit for that Everton game, but it turned out he got a little niggle of an injury, which definitely hurt me. Andre, what did you make of this underwhelming performance from Tottenham?
Yeah. I think during the game I was a total pessimist about it. I was just talking so much crap about our defense and just nobody is reliable in it. No one takes initiative. But I was watching the game with my grandpa, and he just said, look, your team's not doing well, but it's also a brilliant city, which they were, even though Davinson Sanchez got spun and all that, and the attack was woeful. But you just got to give credit to City in that they're really dominating. They're figuring things out, and so City dominated us. That's the end of it.
Yep, you summed it up. And Sirius, actually back to you. Brighton hosted Aston Villa, and that was a bit of a surprise to everybody, as it was a draw. Again, it could be wrong. I don't think this was a result any of us predicted. Again, I could be wrong. What did you make of this game?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I was talking about that. Sorry, my computer it crashed. I don't know. It wasn't Wi-Fi. It was something else. Like, it wasn't your Wi-Fi problems. But yeah. So it was a good result from Burnley. Yeah, I don't think any of us expected them to put 3 past Crystal Palace. I think that shows how poor Crystal Palace were. They had a lot of defensive mistakes. I think especially Scott Dan and Patrick Van Aanholt, they were especially poor. Yeah, especially for the first 2 goals, they had they kept having miscommunication. So yeah, it's kind of down to Crystal Palace and Burnley with a good win.
Yeah, and we moved past the game, but well done for filling back in, because you actually added some points that no one actually mentioned. I think Andre mentioned Scott Dan being very, very poor, and Cheku Yate as well. But we are smack on the Brighton Aston Villa game, which that game ended 0-0. What did you make of this result?
Yeah. Sorry, I've just been lagging a little bit. Yeah, it was honestly, I felt like Aston Villa, with the form they've been on, how they've been moving, obviously dominating possession, I think they, would have expected a win. I think a tie is just honestly not good enough for Aston Villa, especially maybe like last year we would have said, Aston Villa, that's a good result for them, I guess. But, honestly, it was kind of Brighton who had, the majority of the possession, actually. And they also, I think they had like over 20 shots. So maybe, Aston Villa got lucky here. But still, you'd expect players with the quality they have, especially in the midfield, to do something more.
Yeah, I agree with every single word that you said. Yeah, if this were last season, yeah, that'd be considered a good result. But I just think Aston Villa this season have more just stepped up their own expectations and have just stepped up as a club. I mean, I'm looking back on the summer transfer window now. I mean, you could say that they had arguably the best window of all the Premier League clubs. You could technically say that. They were able to keep Douglas Luiz, I think, on like a. Is it a long-term loan from City, or did they get him permanently with like a buyback clause or something like that? Or Douglas Luiz.
Sorry, who?
Oh no. Anyways, they brought in Matty Cash from Nottingham Forest, very good right back. Ollie Watkins, as Sirius was giving very high praise about, and he knows all about Ollie Watkins, not just from a banter standpoint, but just how much he watches Brentford a lot. They brought in Bertrand Traore, Ross Barkley, Emmy Martinez, most notably. They've done some serious business. And I just think that because of that, I think Aston Villa are able to just step up as a club in terms of just their own expectations and whatnot. Anyways, into the next game. And Andre, over to you. Southampton hosted Wolves. Danny Ings scoring for Southampton early. A wonderful assist. Wonderful assist from I could be wrong, but I think it was from your favorite player in the world and your dream signing for Tottenham, Takumi Minamino. It could be wrong. And for Wolves, responded with the Ruben Neves penalty, and then of course Pedro Neto. What an unbelievable goal he scored. Andre, what did you make of this game?
Yeah, that was an interesting game, and I think that if anything for me was probably can be said a smash and grab from the Wolves standpoint, because Southampton, make no mistake, when they started that match, they were incredibly strong. They started on the right foot. They were just attacking, but they didn't capitalize on their chances, and his individual brilliance from Neto just totally got Wolves back in the game. And it was really, really hard on Hasenhüttl's men. They really started the game well. They had the right attitude going forward, but that's the Premier League. That's what happens.
Yeah, perfectly summed it up there. Into the next game. And this game, as did the week before, ruined my weekend. I woke up at 6 a.m. to see 2 minutes in, Mbaye Diagne all over Lindelof and scoring a big, strong, towering header to watch West Brom take the lead inside of 2 minutes. And I was left in shock. But then again, as I've said so many times, I've said it for the past 6 months, Maguire and Lindelof does not work, and that game just proves it even more. But Bruno Fernandes scored an absolutely brilliant goal to at least salvage a point at the end of this game. Another defensive disaster class for Manchester United. Another potentially, it was more or less 3 points dropped because that should have been a win. Jose, what did you make of this absolutely dreadful performance from Manchester United? And who would you say is at fault here?
Well, I think you know who I think is going to be at fault here, Davis. I think that it just confirms, again, everything that I've said in previous games. For some reason, Maguire and Lindelof are still playing together. For some reason, McFred is still playing together. And for some reason, people still, even when we have Donny van de Beek on the bench, and for some reason, people are still not calling out Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for playing the same terrible combinations in every game. And then this is why we lose, or we don't get results against teams like West Brom, who we should really easily be beating if we play the right lineup.
I do think for this game, though, as I said last week, I think Eric Bailly only was just coming back, and Ole threw him on the bench. So,
yes,
and we're only down to the bare bones, more or less, just Maguire and Lindelof.
And Tuanzebe. And Tuanzebe as well.
Yeah, you could play Tuanzebe, but I think Ole did the right thing in the sense of just protecting him in that sense, because gosh knows what atrocities would happen if that had been him and not Lindelof for the one who had made the mistake.
Yeah, gosh knows where we'd be in the league with a proper manager as well.
That is very true. You make a very good point.
Yeah.
Do you think there's some credit to be given to you guys in that? I mean, you really tried to fight back hard, and that Maguire chance at the end that came off the post, I mean, that was this close to just sealing the points. I mean, I think. Yeah,
I think the players honestly I think the players tried really hard in this game. They really wanted to win, but it was just.
Yeah.
I think if the right lineup had been there from the beginning, I think we could win this game.
Yeah, definitely. And Jose, just as you touched on, where would we be in the league, in your opinion, with a proper manager? And even bigger question, where would we be in the league without Bruno Fernandes? That's just a grand question.
Absolutely.
as I've said, if Bruno Fernandes had not been signed last winter, Solskjaer would have been out of a job by February. He would have been gone. 100%. And again, Bruno Fernandes saving the day for Manchester United yet again. Into the next game, and Cyrus, over to you. Arsenal with a brilliant performance. As VAR tried to ruin their win over Leeds as they won by 4-2. And something I love to see. At the end, a tie pulled a tie and went up to the camera and said, "Alioski, you are a disgrace." Classic tie, brilliant tie line. Definitely probably the main highlight of the game. But no, the main highlight of this game was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, his first Premier League hat-trick back in the starting lineup. And the best right back in the world should have been in Team of the Year, Hector Bellerin, scoring goal as well. And then Pascal Struijk and Helder Costa getting 2 goals back for Leeds. Seriously, what did you make of this tremendous Arsenal win?
Yeah, that was a really good win. Good bounce back from a couple points lost. I thought it was, I was actually surprised. I didn't know it was Aubameyang's first hat trick in the Premier League. I know he got a hat trick in the Europa League, but yeah, it's a good start for him, a good comeback. Hopefully, he finds consistency now. I think Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka were brilliant again. 2 of them have been one of our only bright sparks this season, to be honest.
Sorry, what
did you say?
2 words. Bukayo Saka. How good is this youngster? How good is he? He's
and hopefully he'll be good in the future.
This guy has just been brilliant. I cannot praise this guy enough. He has everything as a winger. He's so saucy as well as a winger. This guy is just tremendous as a player. I think any team in the Premier League would want this kid on their team. And yes, he is only a kid, but he plays like he's one of the senior players in the squad. He's so confident on the ball. He's just such a dangerous and dynamic player. What's there not to like about Saka? Other than performing very well against your respective favorite teams, but yeah, I honestly cannot praise this guy enough. Just an unbelievable talent. Anyways, into the next game. And Fulham went to Everton, and I'm almost 100% sure nobody expected this result. Fulham won by 2-0. And a brace by Josh Maja on his debut on loan from Bordeaux to help strengthen their attack, scoring 2 goals to help get all 3 points at Goodison Park. Andre, what did you make of this shocking result?
Yeah, I think we all went Everton to win this match because they've been on a good run of form. They've been really efficient in attack, but none of that was shown in this match. They were really wasteful. I think they were too much in their head about it, and Fulham has shown some really sleek attacking play this season, and they totally did it again. That first goal, they had a brilliant underlapping run, just really good ball movement, and they got that first goal. And then the second one, long shot, clip off the post, defense not set, and just had that little tap in. It was lucky, but Fulham definitely capitalized on just an Everton that weren't at their best.
Yeah, you summed it up there perfectly there. Into next game, West Ham hosted Sheffield United, and I don't think anybody, he wasn't surprised anyone. West Ham dispatched Sheffield United by 3-0. Declan Rice converting from the spot, and then you have Issa Diop and Ryan Fredericks. Jose, what did you make of this result?
Yeah, another good result for West Ham, and I think that they do it without. Oh no, they played Souček. Okay, they played Souček, but I thought, okay. No, so it was another good result from them, and a great performance from Aaron Cresswell as well, getting an assist from the left back. He got man of the match as well, so a great day for him and a great day for West Ham.
Yeah, speaking on West Ham, I just want to throw out a question. West Ham, just overall on average, just looking at their season, they've been exceptional this season. I think they were among potential relegation contenders, looking at or going into the season, but they have completely defied expectations. And could we potentially say that West Ham, maybe not top 4 contenders, but maybe they could butt their way into the top 6 potentially?
Yeah,
maybe.
absolutely. It's really, really open this year, and they've been in great form. So if they can continue their form, I think they'll definitely get in the top 6.
Serious, Andre, what are you two thinking?
Yeah, I was one of the Moyes doubters this season, but I mean now I think they're brilliant. People are talking about Everton's chances of getting Europe or even top 4, but for me, I think West Ham just looks the more consistent side at the moment. I'd say West Ham, I think, have more of a chance than Everton do, and people are seriously considering Everton as having a chance. So I think really if West Ham can avoid injuries and keep a consistent lineup, then I think that the possibilities are endless. It's really in their own hands this season. I think for every team, their chances are in their own hands because it's so inconsistent. It's just about keeping your head straight, trying to get as many points as possible.
Yeah. Serious, what about you?
I personally don't think they'll make top 6. I feel like what Moyes has done has been great. I feel like all of us were kind of like, saying he's not up for it. I think one of it, I don't know, I think a couple of us said he was gonna get, like when we did like who's gonna get fired first, I think I may have said Moyes, someone else did too. So yeah, he's done a great job. But I think they're gonna get like 7th or 8th, to be honest. I don't think they'll make top 6.
Okay. And so sticking with you into next game. And speaking of another good result, as Jose brilliantly put there, another good result for Chelsea. 2-0 win over Newcastle. Again, playing with that back 3, as Tuchel is now done for every single game since the very first game against Wolves. Olivier Giroud coming off the bench midway through the first half on for an injured Tammy Abraham, and scoring pretty soon after that. And then the man you would never expect to score, but had to score sometime soon, Timo Werner, finally scoring for Chelsea. And 2 questions. Firstly, what did you make of this result? And secondly, do you think this Chelsea's momentum will push them into the top 4 ahead of Liverpool?
Yeah, they've done a good job over with Tuchel so far. I think they can if they keep this up. Thought it was a good performance from Werner. He obviously still has chances he should have made, to be honest, watching. But it's nice to see him get a goal. I saw how happy he was when he did. Then 5 seconds later, he got elbowed in the face. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing for Tammy Abraham. He got injured. Giroud comes on. You know what he does off the bench, what he brings to the table. But yeah, overall good performance from Chelsea. Pretty dominant. After it was 2-0, you know that other team wasn't coming back. It was pretty much over. So yeah, Chelsea has some things to figure out. Whether their midfield. I thought Kovacic thought he was pretty good. I thought he was something I'd like to see in Arsenal, like that midfielder, that 8 coming from the lines, kind of like what I wanted Tobias to be. But yeah, overall it was a good performance.
Yeah. And adding on just 2 quick questions that first off, do you think Chelsea can maintain this consistent momentum, and do you think this will propel them into the top 4, or do you think that that there will eventually be a breaking point and a point where Chelsea will lose and they'll start to lose all this good momentum? And secondly, we'll do the first question. That's the first question first, and then I'll throw out the second thing regarding Chelsea's midfield. So, what do you think about Chelsea in their top 4 chance?
No, yeah, I think they can. I think with a new manager, at times you've seen it with Man U and other teams, they could like kind of bring energy to the team, and I think that's what's happening now. And I think Tuchel, he brought PSG last year to the Champions League final. I think he can. I think he can get Chelsea that top 4 position. It's going to be hard for sure, but I definitely think it's doable, especially with the team and how much money they put into this team.
Yeah, and secondly, I just want to touch on that midfield duo, Kovacic and Gorginho. Going to that first game against Wolves, I was thinking, okay, I can understand it. I mean, Kante's not even fit, and he's had, I think, less than 24 hours before his next game. So, I mean, it's pretty understandable. But even when Kante's been back, he's still persisting with picking Jorginho and Kovacic. What do you think about this? And those two in particular, because they've been playing very, very well under Tuchel. Do you see N'Golo Kante eventually coming back?
Yeah, we remember how dominant goalie Conte is when he's fit, and prime N'Golo Kante. I think I personally I rate Kovacic a lot. I think in terms of shooting, I think he still has things to work on there in the final attacking play. But I feel like the duo has worked. I feel like if it's not if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I think right now they should keep with that lineup. I think Conte's going to make it competitive for them. So I think that's good. I personally think that Conte should start instead of Jorginho, but it's working right now, so there's no complaints.
Yeah. And something we'll say right now, for the longest time, I've never really understood or when people are waxing lyrical about Jorginho, and I've been the first one to say, the Italian Mark Noble. But for whatever reason, he's just looked a totally different player. He looks like that ball-carrying midfielder that we saw at Napoli. Something is just, he looks like a totally new player under Tuchel. Was this like the perfect kind of coach suited for Jorginho? Because this is the best I've seen Jorginho in a Chelsea shirt so far. People are saying he started to get the best out of him, but I think Tuchel's getting the best out of him. What are you thinking about Jorginho at this very moment in time?
The question for me or all of us?
Out for everyone, but more in particular, asking you, Cyrus.
No, yeah, I think he's had his struggles, especially brought in because of Sarri. I thought with Sarri, I feel like the reason he wasn't performing to what he did versus like Napoli or now is because I feel like Sarri favorited him a little bit. I feel like he thought it was easy. I feel like now with the competition, he knows Tuchel doesn't play around. I feel like more than Frank Lampard did. So I feel like he he's feeling the pressure, and right now he's doing well. So I have no problems with him starting, to be honest. Yeah.
I think you have to say that. We've now got basically the third Chelsea manager who is preferring Jorginho to Conte in the holding role. You saw Sarri. Obviously, you could say that it was a favorite. It was a favorites thing, which is probably true. But then you have Lampard, who pretty much preferred to play Jorginho in the holding role as well. And now we're seeing the same thing with Tuchel. So.
Yeah. Andre, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think we've covered a lot of good points. I think in general, I just think, Tuchel's Chelsea is like, I don't think anybody wants to verse them right now. I think eventually by the end of the season, we'll find, gaps, we'll find areas of weakness for them. But at the moment, they're looking one of the strongest sides in the Prem on form.
Yeah. And so last point about this game, something I think was surprising for everybody. Kepa, I think it's well known now, he's more or less, apart from Karius himself, like the ultimate meme of goalkeepers. But for whatever reason, Tuchel calls upon him to start in this Premier League in the past, or that against Newcastle. What are your thoughts on this? Because this definitely was something that caught my eye and surprised me.
He was a keeper who was low on confidence. If there's a manager who can bring his talent out in him, then seriously, full credit. I think, but we'll see what happens. But I think it was just Kepa was really low on confidence.
All right. Any thoughts from the rest of you? Because
yeah, I think Andre's right. I think it was surprising. I thought Menu was going to start, but he was decent. The FA Cup game, or I don't know if it's quote unquote FA Cup, but yeah. It's obviously against lower competition, but he was decent. So I think it was nice for him to get a chance. I feel like with how much money they put into him, they need to get something back.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, we're just gonna go right into the next game. And Andre, over to you. Today, Everton hosted Manchester City, and Manchester City ran out as 3-1 winners. Goals coming from Phil Foden again, another brilliant youngster who's just lit up the Premier League this season. Riyad Mahrez and Bernardo Silva, and Richarlison scoring for Everton. What did you make of this game?
Yeah, Man City really dominated the game, but it was really their personal talent that got them those goals. Foden's was a really good volley. Mahrez to break the deadlock at 1-1 was a brilliant curler with his left foot. And it was just and again, they're just proving to be the better side and with every game that they go into. Everton, for their goal, they played wing back, so they were able to use width well, which is how they got their goal. It was a Digne kind of a shot cross that was tipped in by Richarlison. But yeah, I think we expected Everton to trouble City, but I think we all knew that City they're a better side. And that's how it's gone.
Yeah. Into the final game of this match day, Burnley hosted Fulham. And that game ended 1-1. Olainus scoring what looks like a header, but here's some people saying Robbie Brady got the final touch, but I'm pretty sure that's Olainus' goal. And then Ashley Barnes scoring on the counterattack for Burnley. And Jose, what did you make of this result?
Yeah, I think both sides are going to be pretty disappointed that they couldn't get a result in this one. Fulham, I think Fulham are really showing a lot more fight right now than they did at the beginning of the season. Certainly, I mean they've gotten, I think, three draws and 1 win in their last 4 games, or in their last 5 games, but I think it's pretty good for them. So I'd be watching Fulham. I think they're a little bit too low in the table to get dropped or to escape relegation right now. But I think that they can provide a little bit of fight for the rest of the season.
Yeah, clash at the bottom. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, even Sheffield United now. I think they're like 3 or 4 points within West Brom right now. I still think they'll go down, but it just shows that the relegation battle at the bottom is getting tighter and tighter and tighter as each match day passes. Anyways,
it's one of those seasons that happens every few years where it truly feels like no team deserves to be relegated. It still feels like everyone seriously deserves a fighting chance in the Prem next season, but it's not how it works. But it's just so even.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I feel like it's every season though. I mean, yeah, there've been like some exceptions, like the 15-16 season when Sunderland went down, they definitely deserved to be relegated because they were just they got relegated a year later. But it was at Newcastle side in 15-16 when Rafa took over and they had like a bunch of good results. But because Sunderland got like that one crucial result, I don't remember what it was, but they just managed not to lose. That meant Newcastle were going down, and I just thought that was super undeserved on their part. Like I'm just like, wow, that's really harsh.
Sunderland until I die. Yeah. I see what you mean, but I still feel like, then you have that Huddersfield Town that a couple of seasons ago that for sure deserved to go down. I thought that season where I think it was 17-18 with Middlesbrough again. I think that season there were teams that still deserve to go down. But I see what you mean, though. I still see what you mean.
Yeah. Anyways, into Matchday 25. Wolves host Leeds for the first game of Matchday 25 on Friday. At 12 p.m. Pacific time. And for me, I'm gonna go with a draw. I think Wolves will pick up confidence from that smash and grab win over Southampton. And I think I think Leeds will look to bounce back after that very disappointing result against Arsenal. So I think these teams could just meet each other right in the middle. I think this could very well be a draw. Jose, what are you saying for this match?
Yeah, I think this is a perfect match for Wolves if they had their full 11 with Raul Jimenez and everyone in it. I think that this would be their perfect game against a team that plays really open football. They usually play defensively and hit on the counterattack well, but I think you're right. I'm going to go for a draw as well.
Cyrus, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Wolves win.
Okay. Andre, what about you?
It's really tight one. I'll go draw like you.
Okay. Into the next game, Southampton hosts Chelsea, and I think for me, I've been one of the biggest praisers of Southampton. But I mean they're on a dreadful run of form at the moment, and I think Chelsea. I just think there's it's just one of these games where I feel like you already know what you're getting. And I think Chelsea are gonna go to the South Coast and they're gonna take care of business. I mean, as Jose said earlier, I mean, Tuchel has these guys playing very, very well. Jose and Sirius were saying that. And I think Chelsea, yeah, as I said, they're just going to go and get all 3 points. Jose, Sirius, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Chelsea haven't just been in good form. They've been in good form beating teams that are very defensive and very tough to beat, like Burnley, Newcastle. Even though they're small teams, but they're difficult to beat. So I think that they deserve full credit for that. I think they'll win this game as well.
So Sirius, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with a Chelsea win as well.
Andre, you're saying the same?
Yeah, I'll go Chelsea.
Okay. Next game, Burnley hosts West Brom. I actually think Burnley are going to get all 3 points. The fact how they beat Crystal Palace by 3-0. Yes, I know Palace are poor, but I mean that's just unlike anything we've seen from Burnley. Dispatching aside, that's just unlike Burnley. Maybe something's happened. Burnley snatched a point against Fulham. I think Burnley are going to win this game. And I also don't think there's been one match day this season where I predicted Burnley's going to win. But I also think they're going to get a win this time around. Jose, what are you saying?
I usually do predict Burnley wins because of the way they play, they often grind out results. But against the little teams I've noticed this season, they haven't really been performing that well. They want to see me getting more results, better results against bigger teams than against small teams. So I'm gonna go for a draw here.
Okay. Sirius, what about you?
So I was muted. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with 3-0 Burnley.
Okay. And Andre, what about you?
No, I think people talk about like the Mamba mentality, but for me, like Dyche has got them to like the Dyche mentality. Like Burnley are just playing, I think, exactly how he wants them to. I think they'll keep a pretty good run of form with a win against West Brom.
Okay. Into the next game. And we have a Merseyside Derby. Liverpool hosting Everton, and I think regardless of their midweek win in the Champions League, and I said before, it was 2 defensive mistakes, and one of them, which from Day Upamecano of all people, Mr. Bayern Munich bound made a mistake for the second goal. And Liverpool they're one of the poorest teams they're one of the poorest teams at the moment. In terms of past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they look absolutely dreadful. And I think Everton are going to look to bounce back, especially after that 3-1 defeat against City. And I think these two are going to draw yet again, just as they did the first time around in the first half of the season. I think they will draw again. Jose, what are you saying?
Honestly, I know I've already predicted 2 draws this weekend. I think I'm gonna have to go with another one here. These matches between Liverpool and Everton are usually very, very, very tight. I mean, the last 2 have been 2-2 and 0-0. So I think that it's gonna be similar fashion. This one, give me a draw.
Okay.
Sirius, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Liverpool win, to be honest. I think they're good against Leipzig. I think they're gonna win here. So.
Okay. And Andre, are you gonna wax lyricals for Liverpool this weekend?
Well, I will say I think Everton have frustrated them the last couple matches. I think Liverpool will actually get the best of them this match. I'm gonna go Liverpool dub.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Into the next game, and it is another clash at the bottom of the table. Fulham hosts Sheffield United, and I think Fulham will take all 3 points. They looked okay against Everton, and they definitely had a good amount of chances against Everton. And the fact how Fulham were able to create those chances, I was particularly surprised. And they only pulled out with a point against Burnley. I think Fulham is going to take all 3 points here. With the clash at the bottom of the table. Jose, what are you saying for this match?
Yeah, I could agree. I was saying earlier about how I think Fulham have a bit of fight in them, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna agree with you with Fulham win here.
Okay. Sirius, what about you?
Sorry, what?
Um, not the ever.
So the Fulham
Um,
serious.
Yes. I think I'm gonna go with a Fulham win, to be honest.
All right. And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I haven't really watched Sheffield United at all in recent weeks, if I'm being honest, but I'm sure their confidence has to be running low after what they've been doing. So I think Fulham will just probably mentally they'll be more at it than Sheffield United. So I'll go Fulham for the win.
Okay. Next we have a London derby. West Ham hosts Tottenham. And I know Andre's not going to be, the happiest camper with my prediction, but I think this will end in a draw or maybe even a win for West Ham. West Ham they're just in terms of form, they're one of the hottest teams in the Premier League at the moment in terms of their form. You could say right up there with Man City. Of course, not as good. Of course, not as talented. I will say that right now because I don't want people to be saying or thinking, oh, David thinks West Ham is as good as City. And I do not want to get any of those, interpretations whatsoever. They're, miles away from City, but in terms of consistent form, they're right up there. You know what? I'll stick my neck out for West Ham. I'm a predict a West Ham win. It will be West Ham win. I'm just gonna go for it. If Tottenham win, then crud. Well then I'll be in for I'll be in for a new one from Andre. But you know what? I'll go for West Ham win. Jose, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm excited to see this game. I think that it'll be a good one. I mean, you've got a particularly good attacking side in West Ham and a Tottenham side who are very solid defensively and can score a few goals themselves. I think that if you looked at the form guide, you'd probably think that West Ham were Tottenham and Tottenham were West Ham.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
With the amount of losses that Tottenham have at the moment.
Jose, you said a Tottenham side who are and I will pull out your quote. Defensively solid. They in the words of expressions. All of those. The Tottenham's defense is dead food out there. They're the furthest thing from a. They're capable of doing it. I'll say that right now. They're capable of being defensively solid like they were against Manchester United, even though they had nothing to do other than pummel us by 6 goals. But in recent weeks, they've been far from defensively solid. But so wait, what was your ultimate prediction?
Well, I don't know. I was talking about it, but I got interrupted by someone, so I don't know. So, anyways, I was going on. West Ham are in good form. Fulham and Tottenham are in not as good form. So, I think that Mourinho's gonna know he has to pull out a win here, and I think he's gonna do it. So I'm gonna go for Tottenham win.
All right. My bad on the interruption, but I just wanted to make that very clear. Just to make sure Andre doesn't get carried off in cloud cuckoo land, thinking that Eric Dyer is a rock solid defender. Serious, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Tottenham, I'm not trying to defend them here, but both Tottenham and Arsenal, I think, are second in the least amount of goals conceded, both with 25. I don't know what Man U is. I think Man U's 31. Yeah, 31. But yeah. Anyways, I'm not really feeling in a banterish mood today, so I'm gonna go with a 3-0 Tottenham win until the 88th minute when they're gonna concede 3.
If that happened, that would definitely not be a surprise. And Andre, finally over to you. Say what you need to say, whether it's tearing me a new one right now about Tottenham being defensively vulnerable. And what is your prediction? Do you think Tottenham will get the win?
It'll be tight, but I will say I have a few things to say. No, I think Jose, it is true. I think what he means is that it is Mourinho. So I think immediately you think they're going to try to
the
stay
bus?
solid defensively and set up that block as typically said. But that's sort of been the issue with Spurs fans lately, is that we are being dissected as the Mourinho team rather than the Spurs team, where our strengths have actually, they've been really just all over the place from pundits and fans alike. I think our defense is pretty downright horrible. Every single goal we've conceded has been off an individual mistake. So it's that the personnel is really not there, but I could see what he means in terms of Mourinho. It's solid setup. It's just individual errors every gosh darn time. But yeah, I think it's West Ham are it's tough to play them right now, and there's no way in hell we keep a clean sheet. So this game's really, really open-ended.
Especially with Lloris's brilliant form at the moment.
He's been.
Let's not take that away.
There was a theory that he's been poor ever since Poch was appointed at PSG, which it's somewhat legitimate. But it's just I think this game will depend on the midfield battle. If we can actually dominate that Declan Rice, whatever. If Højbjerg can find his form again, because if that doesn't happen, then I think we're looking maybe at a West Ham win. And I still think I'm gonna put my doubts. I think it'll be. I'll go draw.
Okay. Into next game, and Aston Villa hosts Leicester. Ooh. Seems like this seems like one of the more exciting games of the weekend. Actually, this game has the potential to be very exciting. Grealish versus Maddison, because I know that's a debate that was waffling on. Particularly in the summer of last season, or more or less all season, especially amongst us United fans of who we'd rather sign. Both absolutely brilliant players. Jack Grealish, if you want to know how brilliant Jack Grealish is, go hit up Robertson and I'll start waxing lyricals about him all day long, and I'll waffle on for centuries about Jack Grealish. But James Maddison is also a very good player. I think this match has the potential to just be to be a goals galore fest. But I think Leicester will win this just based off of the quality. They have more quality. You look at their fullback options, and I know they have people injured. But let's just take a look at just the personnel that they have in their defense. They have Johnny Evans, Kagler Soyuncu. They brought in Wesley Fofana, who Sirius pointed out early in the season and several times how good of a player he is. They have Ricardo. They have James Justin, who's very good. Castagne. They have a lot of good players. But yeah, I think as Sirius is wanting me to hurry the hell up, and start waxing lyricals about Leicester, I think Leicester will get the result. Jose, what are you saying?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Villa compared to their earlier form this season have been in a bit of a dip recently, and Leicester I think are pretty hot on form at the moment. So I'm going to go with the Leicester win, like you.
Sirius, what about you?
Yeah, Leicester win.
And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, Leicester win. Vardy, Barnes gonna be at it this game.
All right. Into next game. Arsenal hosts Manchester City. And as well as Arsenal did against Leeds, it's not a banter thing. No team is gonna stop this Man City side. It's just that simple. Man City are gonna go take care of business as they've done with every Premier League team, in the Premier League this season. And yeah, it's gonna be simple as that. I think Manchester City will win this game. Jose, what are you saying?
Yeah, everyone knows that I love to predict an Arsenal loss, but I'm gonna hold out hope in this one. I think that Arsenal are a team that love to get results against big teams just so they can hold it over their heads for the rest of the season, like they do against us.
Very true.
So we can have a much better season than they do, and then they can say, oh, but we actually beat you in that game. So I'm gonna hold out hope that there is a team that can beat this Man City side. I'm gonna go with not beat, but get a result. So I'm gonna say probably a draw for this one.
Sirius, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Joseph. I think it's extremely hard to beat this Man City side. They barely conceded any goals, but I feel like usually, at least in the Premier League, not talking about like cups, we usually get a goal or two against them. The issue is usually that they score way more. I think we have with Tierney back. I think it's an improvement because I know he's coming back. He started training again, and Gabriel's now consistently on the squad. So I'm gonna go with a 2-2. I think Lacazette's gonna score one, big game player. So yeah.
The big game player is back again. Andre, what are you saying for this game?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because I think Gundogan is not a sure bet for showing up for this match due to injury. I think Arsenal fans will see that they've got some players who have been just showing off their talent in the league lately. But I still think City will really find a way to stretch out this Arsenal defense. And I think they'll keep going. I think they'll get a win.
Shit, because that's really gonna screw me over in fantasy because Gundogan.
I think you just need to make more changes so you get more minus points. I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
He still might play. I think he missed out today, but he's
No, Andre, I don't.
You're resting him because
No, from my sources, Gundogan is injured, so I think you should make a switch, Davis.
Anyways, we're gonna go right back into the next game. Manchester United hosts Newcastle, and based off of the past weeks, I have literally zero confidence in Man United's ability to get one over the line, especially now that injuries are stacking up. Paul Pogba's now out for most of February. Let's see. Scott McTominay, I think, is carrying an injury. Martial's carrying an injury as well. Edinson Cavani, Donny van de Beek didn't even travel. Well, Donny van de Beek probably got an injury on his bum, probably from sitting on the bench too much. And I'm really not convinced. But something yet again is telling me to hold out hope and to be positive. And I think this could go either two ways. I think it could very well either go another draw and drop another 2 points, or United just gets all 3 points, probably through a moment of Bruno Fernandes brilliance or something like that. But yeah, that's my prediction. Jose, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm gonna be hopeful. I swear, if we don't win this game. Last week I woke up at 6:02.
Yeah, I did as well.
Thought that we were already behind, so I fell back asleep because I didn't want to watch the game. And then so yeah, it was a terrible experience. So I think I'm gonna be hopeful. Hopefully, we'll win this game.
Okay. Cyrus, what are you saying?
Yeah, I agree, Cyrus. I agree.
Oh, sorry. I was looking for Greenwood's talent. My bad. Yeah, I'm going with a Man U tie, 1-1.
Okay. And Andre, over to you.
I was wondering. So Pogba's out for the remainder of February. What is the injury?
I think it's an ankle injury. I think it's an ankle injury.
Is that a cheeky amount?
I might.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always been Paul Pogba's. It's either an ankle injury or hamstring injury every season.
Yeah. Seems like something that could leave him out right until the transfer window starts. We'll see. Well, that'll be an interesting one.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna go United win. I think they can get the win here. I know you guys are lacking confidence in them, but I think they're showing great unity right now. Palace are downright horrible, so I think they can do it.
Yeah. Anyways, into the last game of match day 25. Brighton hosts Crystal Palace, and I think because for crud's sake, I never know when Wilfried Zaha is on the pitch or off the pitch. Like, some weeks I'll say he's back and he'll be nowhere to be seen, and then next week I'll say, oh, he's without Wilfried Zaha, and he'll be right back. It's back in the starting 11. But regardless of that, I think Crystal Palace will lose. I think Brighton will win this game. Jose, what are you saying?
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna back the Sheehan Scoundrels for this one and probably go for the Brighton win. Yeah, I think my friend Michael was telling me he's pretty confident ahead of this one, so I'm gonna agree with him. Brighton win.
Cyrus, what about you?
Yeah, I was talking to Michael Sheehan as well because I don't know, I just like when he gives his prediction, I give my prediction. He said he was confident, like Joseph said. He also said he was a bit tentative, but I still think Brighton can win. I think they can pull out the result. Yeah.
All right. And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, these two teams despise each other. This is actually a derby, so I think both teams will come into it really passionate, but I think Brighton are just the far better side, so I think they'll win it for sure. Not for sure, but they'll win it.
Mhm. And into the final game, which was rescheduled from Matchday 18, Leeds host Southampton. I think this one could very well end up in a draw. I think Southampton could bounce back. But Jose, what's your prediction?
I don't know. I'll try not to laugh as irresponsibly as our host did while he was saying this game, but I'm probably gonna have to go with the Southampton win. I think that this is gonna be the game where they bounce back. They're gonna play their football, their pressing football, and it's gonna be too much for Leeds.
All right, Cyrus, what about you?
I'm gonna have to go with a 0-0 draw, to be honest.
And Andre, lastly, what about you?
I think Southampton really need to take their chances if they're going to win this game, because if they don't, Leeds can punish them. But I think I'll go a Leeds win, actually. Leeds win.
Yeah. And last thing I do want to or last player that I want to touch on, Rafinha. This guy has been some player for Leeds this season. And I just want to hear your thoughts on what do you think about Rafinha? I think he's been a revelation for Leeds. I think he's.
I saw an Instagram post that said Neymar has posters of Rafinha on his wall, and I was like, yes, he definitely does.
And serious, Andre, what are your thoughts on Rafinha and how good of a player and how important of a player could he be for Leeds going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we need. I mentioned that Patrick Bamford interview like last week where he was just singing the praise for him. So just everyone seems to be stoked about him. So he's an exciting one to watch. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And serious, any thoughts on Rafinha?
Yeah.
Well done. Very descriptive and specific thoughts on Rafinha. As we've come to the end of our show, if you've liked what you've seen in episode 22, smash a like on this video and check out our platforms on Instagram and Spotify below. And wherever you are in the world watching this, have a great day.